All right. Hey, Mr. Poyer. We're here with Tim's neighbor, Miss O'Connell. Very sweet lady doing her interview for us. All right. So, when did you live in Saudi Arabia?
From 1974 to 1977. 3 years.
Oh, nice. Who was there
That's
with
a lot.
you? Husband, children?
Yeah, a husband and 2 children. 1 year old through 4, and then my daughter, she did kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade over there.
All right. Why'd you move there?
My husband's job, he was a contract manager for Raytheon Company. They sold the missiles to the Saudis.
Oh. Did you do anything for work there yourself?
No,
or
there were some women that you could only teach. They would allow you to teach in the American school over there, which was called the Parents Cooperative School.
Did you visit any famous places or sites? I know
Lots.
being in Saudi Arabia alone might have already been amazing.
Right. Going and coming, we always made trips. We'd stop in Ireland or Germany, various countries.
Anywhere in Saudi Arabia that was memorable?
Jeddah, Riyadh was the capital. We lived in Jeddah, right on the Red Sea, and that's where the main airport was.
The food there. Everyone likes food. How was that?
Well, we didn't go to restaurants much because they
Lot
weren't
of
that clean.
Cultural.
Nowadays, they've upgraded. They're much better. But at that time, so when visitors came in from out of town, we always had to have them to dinner at our home. The managers was.
Did you do any traveling within Saudi Arabia?
Not that much. There wasn't too much to see. You know, there was Mecca, but you're not allowed to go into Mecca or Medina because it's only for Muslims.
All right. I'm going to let Tim take over and do the second half of the interview.
Number 7. Number 7?
Yeah.
All right. So were you surprised about anything when you arrived there? With anything unexpected?
Not really. The heat, it was really hot. 120, you know. Let's see, we went in October. The heat, actually, probably was... I knew it was going to be hot, but it was even hotter.
So it was 120 in October?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That particular day, I mean, it went down. An interesting thing is, by the time we left 3 years later, when we first got there, there were outdoor movies, and we'd see the people going on over with hats and gloves, just like winter, because their blood had thinned out. By the time we were there 3 years, you know, then we were wearing the gloves and the hat.
Yeah.
And we were laughing at everybody when we first came in because they were dressed that way going to the outdoor movie, you know.
Must have thought you were not wearing that.
But then as, you know, by the 3rd year, we were all dressing up that way too. It was cold, you know, at night after the sun went down.
Yeah. So anyway, what happens as a punishment when a crime is committed? Like, is the criminal justice system... You cut off your hand. Is it...
If you steal.
So it's more harsh than...
Very harsh. Yeah, they chop off heads. I don't know whether they want that on the...
Yeah, anything goes.
If they do something really bad, they get beheaded.
That's ridiculous.
Like while we were there, the Prince Faisal was killed.
Wow.
The head of the country. And it was a relative. But we were just arrived in October, and a couple of weeks later that happened. And we weren't allowed to go off the compound because they weren't sure if an American had done it or not.
Yeah.
So we had to stay put on the compound. And then they found out it was a member of the family that did it, like a cousin or a nephew.
Wow.
And he was beheaded about a year later.
Of course.
We could have attended, but we didn't want to.
Chose not to.
Is it public?
Yeah, it's public. They do it in the square. Yeah.
Anyway.
But up in Riyadh, and we lived in Jeddah. So we wouldn't have gone. We could have gone up, but who wants to see that?
Maybe we shouldn't have asked that question.
No, it's fine.
Anyway, how many wives are men allowed to have?
4.
4.
But they usually, have three, and then if they're ready to take on a fourth, if they meet somebody else that they like. But most of the officers that we knew on our compound only had one wife.
That's ridiculous.
You know, it's more the people that had a lot of money, because you had to treat each wife equally, and they couldn't afford to do that, the average person. So they usually only had one.
Still ridiculous, though.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Anyway, what is life like for Saudi Arabian women, and are the more restricted and controls than women in America?
Oh, much more. You can't drive. You're not allowed to drive over there. And the American women couldn't drive either, only on the compounds that we lived on.
Was that
we weren't allowed to go off compound.
Is that because it's Saudi Arabia, or because it's back then? Like, is it
no,
the same now?
It's the same now. Women can't drive over there. They have to sit in the back seat too. Wow. They can't sit in the front seat. They're very strict.
So women aren't treated as fairly there as they are in America.
Not at all.
A lot more restricted due to their culture.
Right. Very much so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
it's a whole different world. It's like going into, very old. They didn't have any malls when I was there. I understand they have malls now.
Yeah.
And a lot more dining out than in my day.
More.
Better restaurants.
Yeah. Anyway, any experiences or anything more that you'd like to share?
Well, John had a good one. He went to. He was the only American invited to attend with a group of officers to this lamb cookout, and they all sat on the oriental rugs out in the desert, and they ate. You have to use your left hand. I think he started eating with his right. You're not supposed to use your left, I think it was. And there wasn't anybody that spoke English except one guy who helped him out. But they were very nice to him and all.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
He was so amazed by it. He wrote a whole paper on it after.
Write a whole paper on it.
Yeah. We weren't allowed to keep diaries. I wish I had, kind of.
Yeah.
Kept a diary, but we weren't supposed to have anything like that.
That's interesting.
They don't want to get information out,
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
It's out now.
Yeah, it's out now. People know.
Too bad.
But in those days, it was very restricted.
What they don't know can't hurt them. Anyway, would you go back if you had the chance?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to visit. In fact, I got a Christmas card from one of our friends that was over there with us, and he was going back for a visit. He's gone back through the years. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I'd like to see the changes. Well, I do know they have malls, because my friends, probably about some stayed about 10 years longer than I did, but they put them in malls, and they have many more restaurants that you can go out to. And they have more hotels.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Kids, yeah. And the school for the kids was taught by English teachers, from England, and Americans. Some women that were American or men. They had to learn some Arab words. Not a great deal, but of course, the higher up in school you went, the more they would want you to learn.
Do you know if they're kind of like China, I think it is, they only keep you going in school as far as you go, or as far as you go to deserve? Like, the work you put in depends on how far up in school you go. Like, what I'm trying to say, I'm sorry. Basically...
I thought China, they went to school. They really
do,
emphasize schooling.
Yes, but basically in China, if, say you start doing, badly in school or whatever, they take you out, and that's the end of, your education for yourself.
Oh, I didn't know that. No. I'm trying to think. The girls only went so far. They let the boys go further. And they would send the boys. A lot of Saudi officers went to school abroad. They'd send them to good schools.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily have the grades to get in, but they could pay their way in,
Yeah.
But The girls, I think they only went up maybe to 6th or 7th grade. Our kids could only go through grammar school, and then once you became a teenager, you had to go out of the country. So some of the teenagers would go to Switzerland to boarding schools or Rome to boarding schools.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Trying to think. Yeah, they're girls. They did get schooling, but I don't think, they probably went to 7th, about as far as 7th grade.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Is that
for.
all you had?
Yeah, that's all we have. Thank you
even
so
enough?
much for doing this for us.
You need to do more.
Oh, that's gonna come out to a good amount of pages. We got like around 15 minutes of interview here.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Let's see, what else did you have?
That is
How
Yeah.
many wives? You
you
covered that.
canceled it?
I'm trying to think of
I
what
haven't
else.
canceled.
Oh,
it
you
yet,
know what I
or
wanted to tell you
just did.
about the
Keep going.
the beautiful sunsets going into the Red Sea. They dropped. You'd have this beautiful orange-red sun, and it would come down at night and would just drop all of a sudden quickly into the sea. And I always felt that's why they called it the Red Sea, because there was nothing red about the Red Sea. It was
just
black.
called it.
It wasn't even the blue color. It was more black. There were areas where there was some shallow, and had a pretty blue. But overall, where we were, right where our houses were, and a jetty going out to the sea, was all black water.
Well, there's a Black Sea too.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
but that is, I think, it's a black.
Yeah.
Just like the Red Sea is very, very dark.
Well,
out where-
most water is black. There's no such thing as red water.
No, but like you go to York and it's a blue.
Yeah, it's
This was real dark, almost a black.
Yeah.
But it amazed me. Why did they call it Red Sea? So that's my theory. Because of the sun.
Yeah.
It was a red hot sun, and it was so pretty. It dropping in. I love the sunsets over there. So when we were leaving, I took the kids down to the beach, to look at the sunset, because she was only, my daughter, she did the 2nd grade, and my son was only a baby, young. I said, kids, look at this. You'll never see this again in your lives,
Yeah.
But they didn't know. They don't remember that today.
No, I'm sure.
But yeah, if you were doing a report where you needed papers and stuff and shots of the country, I have all that stuff.
We could use that.
Huh?
Thank you
do that.
so much.
Well,
Yeah.